Hi, it's Bob from HeCooksForMe.com. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to throw together some French onion soup. It's a perfect cold winter day. Our first step is to caramelize our onions. So this is 2.5 pounds of just plain yellow onions. We've also used sweet onions, and either one works. So we have our butter melted, and we're just going to add all of these onions into this pan. This is over medium-high heat. We're on a 7 out of a range of 9 on our stove. And this is going to go for about 20 minutes. You stir it quite often so that you can get the onions caramelized all the way around. And you also do need to add your bay leaf with this. Now that our onions are done, we're going to booze up our French onion soup. This is what gives it that rich flavor. So we're going to add a 1/2 cup of dry sherry, a 1/2 cup of brandy. You can also use cognac, but we don't notice a lot of difference, and cognac's quite a bit more expensive. So we usually choose to go brandy. And then 1.5 cups of a white wine. Renee really likes Chardonnay, so we normally go with Chardonnay for cooking. So our onions are now done. It actually took us a little bit over 30 minutes to get that golden color on the onions. That's the color that you really want them to be, though. So our next step is to deglaze the pan with that sherry and the brandy. You can see this brownish color on the bottom of the pan. That's all yummy goodness. That adds a whole lot of flavor into this. And the alcohol thrown in right now will take that off. It'll boil out all that alcohol but leave all the flavor. And now for the finale, we use 8 cups of beef stock. We actually make this stock ourselves off of prime rib bones that we do anytime we do a prime rib, usually around Christmas time. And I'll show that video separately. And then we have a tablespoon of kosher salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of white ground pepper. I think the white pepper is in here just so it doesn't show up. You can't actually see it in the soup. If you don't have white ground, you can probably get away with black. Now this is simmered for 5 minutes. You can see how it's really pulled all of that stuff off the bottom of the pan, and it's made a nice brown sauce in with our onions. So our next step is to add the white wine, and we're going to simmer this for another 15 minutes uncovered. Our Chardonnay is simmered. You can see that there's just a little bit of sauce left in that pan, not a whole lot left at all. So most of that liquid is boiled off and just left all the flavors in there. That was about 15 minutes that we simmered the Chardonnay. So now we're going to add in the 8 cups of beef stock. And our salt and pepper mix. I'm going to turn up the heat now because we need to bring this to a boil, and then once it starts to boil, we'll turn it down and simmer it again. This recipe actually just calls for a shaved Parmesan over the top, and you kind of sprinkle it and melt it in. But we like to do it as more of a traditional French onion soup. So we'll take a baguette and make slices in it, put it under the broiler so it toasts up just a little bit. We spray it with some olive oil so it gets a nice golden color on it. And then this is a mixture of Gruyere and Swiss cheese that we've grated up, and we'll put that over the whole top of that, and then put our whole soup bowl in the broiler to melt that down, turn it kind of brown and bubbly, and have a traditional French onion soup. So this is our baguette cut up to make the bread that'll go on top of the French onion soup. The whole job of this is to float on top of that soup and hold your cheese up as you broil your cheese. So to make it float longer, we use a little olive oil. This is just an olive oil mister, and it'll allow it to tan really good under the broiler. And so you can really tell when they're getting done. If you don't have a mister like this, you can just rub olive oil on with a like a pastry brush or even just a paper towel, and it'll work great. We're going to put these under the broiler and really watch them. It doesn't take very long, and they can burn really fast. So you don't want them to burn, you just want them to get brown. So these just came out from the broiler. You can see how they're starting to brown on the tips, and they are pretty crispy and hot. But these will be perfect. They won't soak up so much of the soup that way and start to sink, and will last quite a while in on top of that soup to hold our cheese up and just look great with this soup. So last step in our French onion, we filled our bowls with hot soup. We're going to put those croutons, just lay them in on top, over the top, and then take our Swiss and Gruyere cheese blend and just let it sprinkle over the croutons. Those croutons help it float. And my wife is of the belief that you can't have too much cheese on anything, so we do pack these up pretty good. And then we're going to put them under the broiler and let them melt out. You want them to get just a little bit bubbly and browned across the top. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and consider hitting that red subscribe button. It really helps if you can share my videos with friends and family that might be interested, or watch some of the other videos on my channel. I hope this dish, or one of my other featured dishes, finds its way into your kitchen soon.